Francis Ford Coppola's new film Megalopolis comes out next week, so therefore, it's time to get this shit done. The Godfather was probably the biggest blight on my film watching resume for many, many years. Up until yesterday, I had never seen The Godfather. I was going to do a video for the whole trilogy, but the first film is still fresh in my mind, so I needed to talk about the first Godfather straight away. And now that I've finally watched it, I've only got one thing to say.
I did not care for The Godfather.
Joking, I'm only joking. It was brilliant, I loved it. The opening 20 minutes of this film sets up everything so perfectly. You've got the wedding going on, and behind the scenes, Vito Corleone is taking meetings, people asking him for favors, and you can just feel the history of this man and the Corleone crime family just through the writing, the acting, and the directing. You see how revered Vito Corleone is by his family and the people who work for him. And just the way Marlon Brando portrays the character and the way the characters treat Vito Corleone, you feel the history straight up, and you understand entirely what this man's about. And even though he's a criminal, he's the head of a crime family and a mafia, he's all about respect. And he's also a very reasonable person. Yeah, he'll get people killed for you, but not just because. You need to have a good reason for it. And also, you're going to be in his debt at the same time. If he does something for you, you do something for him when he calls upon you to do that thing. And Marlon Brando is just mesmerizing. Every time he's on the screen, you just cannot look away from him. You're just fascinated by this individual. Another thing I love about the Corleone family is, yes, they're the mafia, crime family and whatnot, but they're still a family, and they still interact and love each other like a family. And I was reading the IMDb trivia, and Francis Ford Coppola had the cast do these rehearsals as these improvised dinner scenes where they're sat around the dinner table and they're just having conversations in character to try and capture that family dynamic. And it just comes across on screen perfectly. It never feels like a film. It never feels like they're movie characters just, what are you doing? What are you doing, Tony? Terrible accent, I'm sorry, but it just feels so natural the way these characters talk to each other and look after each other like an actual family. So after that opening 25 minutes, we've been introduced to Vito Corleone. We understand entirely what he's about, what the Corleone crime family is about, the horse's head in the bed, and then the film does something brilliant. It takes that and flips it upside down, and the whole worldview of all the Corleone family is completely just thrown into chaos with the assassination attempt on Vito. Vito's shot down in the street, he's in the hospital bed recuperating, there's the threat of a follow-up attack every second of the day, and now the family is just in disarray and chaos. The order that Vito usually brings to the Corleone family is just non-existent. And that's where Michael Corleone comes in, Al Pacino's character, who at first were introduced to somebody who wants nothing to do with his family's business. He wants nothing to do with organized crime. But the assassination attempt on his dad changes his entire viewpoint. So he comes in and he takes charge. He becomes the new Don of the Corleone family. And I loved seeing the evolution of that through the film. That scene where they sat down talking about Michael's meeting with the police captain and the head of that crime family, and Michael just dominates the conversation and says, I'm going to go in there, you're going to hide a gun from me, I'm going to come out and I'm going to kill him and walk away. And you just see the cogs turning in his head, you see him just becoming that ruthless crime boss. And it's just like, wow, you wanted nothing to do with this, but you have a complete knack for this kind of thing. And the build up to that scene where they pick him up, they frisk him in the car, they do the U-turn on the bridge, and they're in the restaurant, they're talking, he says, I gotta go to the bathroom, and he goes in there, finds the gun, and you're thinking, is he actually gonna do it? Is he gonna screw it up? And then finally, bang bang, both dead, walks out the restaurant, you're released from that suspense, and you're also very satisfied by the deaths of those two scumbags. The Godfather really is about Michael Corleone's ascension to being the Don of the Corleone crime family, and in the process, his decline as a human being. And again, I just loved watching his evolution in the film, and seeing the ways in which Vito Corleone runs the family and operates his enterprise just fade away, and then watching Michael Corleone come in and be a much more ruthless kind of kingpin type head of the family. And it's just such a different style of running things as a Don of a crime family. And it's just really interesting seeing that, especially given how reluctant he is to be part of the family business when we first meet him at the start of the film. That climax where he's at the christening and he's denouncing Satan whilst all the heads of the other crime families are being killed one by one. Perfect juxtaposition, perfect contrasting, amazing writing, amazing directing, amazing acting. The Godfather is a 3-hour long crime epic, and I was glued to the screen for practically the entire runtime. it's probably the most absorbing and engrossing gangster film that I've ever seen. I don't give films ratings in videos anymore, but whenever I watch a film that deserves the full marks, I think I'm going to give it the full marks, and Godfather deserves the full marks.